It all started with the Vietnam War. Vietnam was in a civil war at the time. It was split up into North Vietnam, which was communist, and South Vietnam, which was republic. The U.S. fought with South Vietnam against North Vietnam because they were against communism and wanted to contain it. Some Americans supported this, but many Americans were upset that the U.S. was fighting another country's civil war and had many U.S. troops die because of it. They thought it was an unnecessary war. They were also upset because an enormous amount of innocent Vietnamese people were killed or injured because of the attacks from the U.S. This including bombings, fires, and napalm, a new jelly-like weapon of the U.S. dropped from planes onto Vietnamese villages. This badly burned people. In 1965, Mary Beth, John, Hope, and Paul Tinker, as well as their friend Christopher Eckhart, decide to wear black armbands to show their support for a truce in the war and to mourn the dead on both sides. Their school stated that if any student wears an armband, they will be suspended. Mary Beth, her siblings, and their friend did not back down and wore them to school the next day. Mary Beth, John, and Christopher were suspended. Through their parents and the help of the Iowa Civil Liberties Union, they sued the school district for violating their First Amendment right of freedom of speech. The issue was this: does prohibiting symbolic protest violate students' right of freedom of speech given by the First Amendment? In 1969, the final ruling was 7-2 in favor of Tinker. The majority said the students did not lose their First Amendment rights when they entered school property, so in order for the school officials to justify themselves, the students would significantly have to interfere with the school. The students never created a disturbance, but simply wore the armbands out of their right of freedom of speech. The dissenting argued that the armbands distracted the students, which prevented the school officials from doing their duties. They said that the school officials should be able to have the authority to maintain order. Because of Tinker vs. Des Moines, students today are more confident to express their beliefs and opinions knowing they will be supported by the First Amendment. Before this case, students were less expressive because they weren't sure if the First Amendment rights extended to the classroom. After the ruling was made, more students began to express and discuss their beliefs more freely in school. It was a first stepping stone. Today, students are free to peacefully protest wherever they want. For example, students, as well as many others, were wearing t-shirts that read "I Can't Breathe" in honor of and protesting against the situation of Eric Garner, a black man who was choked to death by white police officers. This case, Tinker vs. Des Moines, has had a positive effect in today's society by helping students express their own beliefs in the classroom.